Stop. Don't sign that. That's not a contract, that's a death sentence for your company. The words came out sharper than I meant, but they cut through the polished silence of that boardroom like shattered glass. Every head turned, suits, lawyers, executives, all of them staring not at some rival CEO or Wall Street shark, but at me. A guy in a faded janitor's uniform, spray bottle still in my hand, standing against the glass wall like I'd wandered into the wrong meeting. The pen in her hand froze. Eleanor Price, one of the most feared CEOs on the East Coast, lifted her eyes to me. They were gray, hard as stone, and for a second I thought I'd just destroyed the last paycheck I'd ever get. But I didn't flinch. I couldn't. Across the table, the Danish negotiators snapped out of their smug little act. The one leading them, Henrik Malberg, forced a laugh smooth as butter, but with a twitch in his jaw. "Is this some kind of American joke?" he asked, turning to Eleanor. "This is inappropriate. Remove him at once," his colleagues muttered in Danish, calling me a lunatic, an idiot. They didn't know I understood every word. But Eleanor didn't call security. She just stared at me like she was trying to decide if I was insane or telling the truth. Finally, she set the pen down. The sound of it clicking against the glass table was louder than a gunshot. She stood, straightened her jacket, and said calmly, "This meeting is suspended." The room exploded. Malberg slammed his palm on the table, shouting about broken deals, betrayal, billions at stake. Security moved in firm, but quiet, escorting them out, while he glared at me with a promise in his eyes, retribution. And then it was just me, Eleanor, and her chief counsel. She walked over heels, clicking, and stopped inches away from me. She looked me up and down, the scuffed boots, the cheap watch, the name Derek stitched on my chest. "You have 60 seconds, she whispered. "Tell me why I shouldn't have you dragged to a cell for sabotage." My adrenaline was fading. Fear was flooding back in. But I steadied myself. "When you broke for coffee, I said they switched to Danish." They laughed about the addendum page 88 in their copy. They called it the Trojan horse, a clause that reassigns patent ownership 6 months after the merger triggered by a market dip they know is coming. By then, you wouldn't own your own intellectual property anymore. You'd be renting it back from them. Her lawyer went pale. He flipped through the stack of documents, frantic. Eleanor didn't blink, but I saw something flicker behind her eyes, a spark of recognition. I checked the clock on the wall. 10:47 p.m. Panic ripped through me. "I have to go," I muttered. Eleanor stepped closer. "Go. You're not going anywhere." "My shift is over," I said. My voice cracked. "I need to be at the hospital." For a moment, she saw that the exhaustion carved into my face, the fight that wasn't just corporate. I turned, grabbed my cleaning cart, and ran for the bus. By the time I reached City General, the antiseptic smell was already in my lungs. Room 312. Ivy was there. My little girl, 7 years old, her tiny body tangled in tubes and wires, sketchbook propped on her knees. "Hey, Firefly," I said, kissing her forehead. "What are you drawing tonight?" She looked up, eyes too serious for a child. Her voice came out a whisper. "Daddy, am I going to be an angel soon?" My chest caved in. That one word, angel, knocked the air out of me. I grabbed her hand, forcing a smile that felt like it was ripping my face apart. "No, baby. You're not going anywhere. And for the record, angels speak the language of love. You're already fluent." She smiled weakly, her eyelids fluttering. I sat there long after she fell asleep, holding her hand, praying I hadn't just thrown away the one job paying for her treatment. At midnight, my phone buzzed. A blocked number. I stepped into the hall, heart hammering. "Mr. Reyes," a woman's voice said. This is Eleanor Price's office. She expects you at 6 a.m. sharp. Don't be late." The next morning, I didn't walk through the service entrance. I went through the marble lobby, exposed in jeans and a plain gray shirt. The night guard checked a list, then nodded. "They're waiting for you. Top floor." Her office was a kingdom, glass walls, obsidian desk, city skyline spread out like a chessboard. Eleanor didn't waste words. "Last night you made an extraordinary claim. Are you a spy? Did Omnicorp plant you?" I met her stare. "No. I mop your floors." Her lawyer cleared his throat. "Eleanor, our initial review confirms his claim. It's real." She studied me like I was an equation she couldn't solve. Then a folder was handed to her. She opened it, scanned, and for the first time her mask cracked. "Your name is Dr. Derek Reyes," she said slowly. "PhD in linguistics. Tenured at Northwood University. Published, respected. And then you vanished." I looked away. "My daughter is sick. This job gave me health insurance. The night shift meant I could be with her during the day. I needed to disappear." Silence. Not suspicion this time, but understanding. Then her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, expression hardening. That was PR. Malberg's already in the press, painting us as unstable, claiming a deranged employee ruined the deal. He's declared war, and right now you're the only weapon he doesn't see coming. She slid a contract across the desk. 2 weeks. You tear apart everything. I'll pay you 200 grand, and my company covers every cent of Ivy's care, no limits. The pen she handed me was sleek silver foreign in my hand. For 8 years, I'd held mop handles and spray bottles. Now I signed my name, Dr. Derek Reyes. A ghost putting on skin again. The work consumed me. In a windowless war room, I scrawled notes across whiteboards, chased language like a hunter. Patterns emerged, phrases, idioms, fingerprints. Malberg's arrogance was everywhere. And then the Amsterdam model. A phrase buried in old emails. I dug deeper, and the trail led to a Dutch firm that had collapsed after a suspicious merger. A name surfaced, Peter Van Holt, the CFO, who lost everything. Eleanor and I flew to Scotland to a weather-beaten fishing village where Van Holt drank his afternoons away in a dim pub. I slid into his booth and whispered in Dutch, we were both meant to be the fall guy. His eyes went wide. When I repeated the same archaic Danish idiom Malberg had used, led into the lion's den blindfolded, he froze, terrified. He knew I had him. Eleanor walked in her presence, filling the pub. Peter Henrik tried to do to me what he did to you. The difference is, he failed. Help us and I'll give you lawyers' security protection. Justice. His hands shook as he confessed. The proof. It's buried. I copied everything, contracts, recordings, emails. It's locked in a vault in Zurich, but it takes 2 keys. I have one. The other belongs to Anna Schultz, our head of IT. She vanished. We left Scotland with half a key and a ticking clock. Meanwhile, Malberg struck back. Articles hit the press, my face, my past twisted into scandal. The world saw me not as a scholar, not as a father, but as a fraud. My anonymity was gone. Eleanor didn't flinch. Good. He thinks you're worthless now. That means no one's looking for you. Find Anna. I combed through digital trails, searching not for her name, but for her voice, her quirks, her metaphors. And I found her. Canada. An online forum about auroras hiding in plain sight. The board was hours away from voting Eleanor out. But at the last second, Anna appeared on a video call, the northern lights flickering behind her. She held up a USB key. I've been waiting 2 years for someone to fight him. Together across continents, we turned both keys. The vault opened. And there it was, the smoking gun. Henrik's own voice, cold as ice. Do as I say, or I can't guarantee your son makes it home alive. The boardroom went silent. Men who had smirked at me days ago now sat pale and broken. Eleanor turned to her rival on the board. Arthur, weren't you calling for a vote? It was over. Malberg's empire collapsed within days. Eleanor's company surged. My daughter's care was secured for life. But that wasn't the victory that mattered. The real one was standing in a hospital doorway, seeing Ivy smile as her fever broke, hearing her whisper, "Daddy, did you fight the monster?" I held her close. Yeah, Firefly. We fought the monster, and we won. Months later, Eleanor came to me, not with a demand, but an offer. A new department, the Office of Strategic Integrity. A place where the overlooked could be heard, where the quiet flaws that nearly ruin everything are caught before it's too late. I looked at her then at Ivy, who was finally in remission, free from the machines that had caged her childhood. And I said yes. Sometimes the most valuable people are the ones nobody notices. A janitor, a father, a man who refused to stay silent. So let me ask you, if you were in that boardroom, would you have believed me? Or would you have thrown me out with the trash? Because sometimes the difference between justice and ruin is just one voice that refuses to stay quiet. Tell me in the comments, have you ever seen someone dismissed, underestimated, and yet they turned out to be the one who saved the day? Do you think our society truly values people for who they are? Or just the titles stitched on their uniforms?